In this video, I'm going to be talking about one of the most underrated tennis gear brands, in my opinion. Now, this, as you can probably obviously tell from my shirt, is going to be about Volkl. Now, if you don't know about Volkl, the reason for that is because you don't really see a lot of professional players or like extremely high level athletes playing with a Volkl racket or anything like that, because Volkl kind of niches down into the tennis market to fill one specific niche, and that is to very much help prevent tennis elbow and just to stop it if you have it. It is a very great at doing that type of brand. However, if you've never had tennis elbow, if you've never been rehabbing from injury, you're never coming back, that's arguably why you really don't know about it, because you've never needed to know about it. However, if you want to help prevent that or just to make sure that that doesn't happen, then Volkl may be a brand for you to look into. Not only are they not that well known, so sometimes, depending on what racket you look at, I'm not saying all of them, there's some that are just as expensive as some of the other rackets from the major brands, but because they're not that well known, sometimes they do have some actual good quality rackets and just that are very comparable to say like a Babolat Pure Drive or a Wilson Blade 98 16x19, and they might be a little bit less expensive too. So something to note, as well as they have an extremely large racket catalog. There are so many different types of rackets that Volkl has. I have this one in my hand right here. I'll be reviewing here soon. I'll finally get on court with it, I believe tomorrow. And I'll be getting to play with the Volkl Vostra or Vostra. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. This is the version 8 and the 300 gram. They do have different weight variations for most of their rackets, especially I know the V8 has them. I want to say the V9 and the V6, those are different weights as well, but they're very similar rackets. And then I think the V10 as well. But Volkl is coming out. This is the Vostra line, so these are the newest frames from them, and I'm excited to try it. However, they have almost one racket to fit all types of players. The Vostra V2 or just any of the rackets that have the lower number from where mine is V8. If you go lower to like V1, V2, you're usually looking at a much bigger head size, like a 115 or around there, as well as a much lighter weight racket. Whereas the higher the number you go, more like towards 8, 9, 10, you're usually looking at typically harder to use rackets or just rackets with smaller head sizes that are not as helpful as the rackets more towards the center of their actual scale. I don't know the full length to their scale off the top of my head. I know they go up to at least, I want to say the V12. So it is something to look into if you're curious and are wanting to try out Volkl. Now, as I kind of said, they're one of the best in preventing and stopping tennis elbows. I had a great friend of mine. She was getting into tennis, and no, she wasn't getting it. She was coming back into tennis, but she had gone out because she had tennis elbow and she had been, of course, injured. She couldn't play. So what happened was the people that she was working with, she actually was given a Volkl racket to use as a way to rehab her as she was getting back into the game. Now, one of the reasons that this worked is that Volkl, if you look at the rackets, this is not just to the new additions with the Vostra, but if you look at here at the bottom of the butt cap, there's rubber right there. All of that red is rubber. And that rubber is in the entire handle as well to help stop and get rid of the vibration before it gets into your wrist or to your arm, causing the tennis elbow. Now, I know tennis elbow can also be caused by technique, and that usually is a very big factor, but it doesn't help if the racket is sending a lot of shock and vibration into you as well. Now, besides the dampening here in the handle, Volkl also has a bunch more dampening technology that I don't remember the name of right away in the racket itself to make sure that it is not going to be as hard on the arm, even though it may say that the flexibility rating on this racket is a little bit higher than what you would expect for a racket brand that is supposed to help prevent tennis elbow. So it is something to note. It is something to keep in mind. I feel like they're worth a try, especially if you've never tried one before or you're just wanting to try something a little bit different. And if you do end up trying one of their rackets, they also make string for you to use as well. One of their most popular ones is Volkl Cyclone, where at least here in the US, it is at, I believe right now it's $8.99 a pack for a polyester string. It's shaped like a gear. So let me grab my marker. Volkl Cyclone, it is kind of, this is a very bad gear, but you get the idea. It's shaped, it has a lot of access to spin to it, a lot of access to feel and control. I would say you can compare it to like RPM Blast, but it's a much cheaper version, so it is going to play differently. And it's definitely something to look out and to try if you're either trying a Volkl racket, or you just want a cheap poly that comes in just a very, very nice price point. Volkl Cyclone also does come again at not only the 16 gauge, but it also goes down to 19 gauge and I believe even 20 gauge as well. So you have a bunch of different ranges of gauges you can try, whether it be in your Volkl racket, in your current racket. There's a ton, and that's just one of their strings. They also have multi-filaments. They also have other polyesters like Volkl V Square, as well as they also have a pre-packaged hybrid, which you don't usually see too often, which is called Volkl Psycho, and even a pre-packaged hybrid with natural gut in it. That is the V Fuse Icon package, and that one you have Volkl Cyclone and Volkl Natural Gut in there. So Volkl has a lot of different things for you to try. I want to say that they're very unknown, or if they're just not as well known, because they are really focusing on just making sure that the niche that they chose is solved, especially with their rackets, and preventing tennis elbow, preventing injury, and that's what they have accomplished very well. But I wanted to shed some light on them because they are definitely a brand to check out, especially if you're looking for a new racket and you want to have a little bit of a different feel from what you're used to. Volkl most likely has a racket that is semi-similar to what you're using, so it's definitely worth a demo, whether it be the racket or the string. So with that being said, if you like the video, leave a like on it. Comment down below any more questions that you may have about Volkl rackets or just Volkl string in general, and I'll try and get back to them as soon as I can, as well as subscribe to the channel so that we can grow this channel, get the information out there from the people that have it to the people that need it. There's a lot of tennis misinformation in the tennis community, so I took it upon myself to make this channel so that we can get rid of that and just enjoy the game of tennis that we love so much more without having to worry about injury from our gear. And as always, take care.